The contrast could not be more stark for the Walt Disney Company. Rachel Zegler is an absolute bust with the box office previews, Snow White accumulating huge dislikes, but now we have a light at the end of the tunnel. Lilo and Stitch, the live-action remake of the movie from the early 2000s, is getting massive praise, huge support, and even the cynics are saying this is a movie worth going to see. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel. We are so happy you have come our way. Welcome one and all, where we heed the call of explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. Folks, as we get ready to dive in, consider clicking the like button. We're going to show you why this is the time for Disney to decide what is their future. Is it the kind of thing we see with Rachel Zegler and Snow White? Or is it the geniuses of the past, as we can see now in Lilo and Stitch? You may need to get your seatbelts on because my take on this is not going to be what you have come to expect from the channel. Folks, here is the Lilo and Stitch live action remake trailer from Disney. We're going to play parts of it, not all of it, because it does feature some Elvis. And I don't know if you all have heard this, but turns out Elvis, along with the Beatles, is not the kind of music you play on YouTube if you want to last very long on this platform. Here we go, though.
We have apprehended a dangerous experiment. Where is he?
He escaped.
He's trying to find the police cruisers.
He took the red one.
All right, so there's the intro. We're going to skip ahead because we get some Hawaiian music that might get us. Let's go to here where it says this Memorial Day. We're going to skip ahead because the music.
Down from there!
Look like
And we can't play that because there's looks like an angel.
Stitch that.
Sometimes family isn't perfect. That doesn't mean they aren't good. That was close. I don't think you're supposed to drink that.
All right, panel.
Great.
Panel, I'm going to show you something. Take a look at this. Lilo and Stitch. And actually, let me refreshify it just so we make sure we've got it. I want to have the absolute most up-to-date numbers. 109,000 likes, 14,000 dislikes. If we go to the Snow White live-action teaser trailer, the one that's been around the longest, 102,000 likes, 1.5 million dislikes. Folks, one of these things is not like the other.
True.
And I would say that the reason for that is that.
Yeah.
I think this is phenomenal. I am so pleased that Disney brought Chris Sanders back. Chris Sanders is the guy who was in charge of Lilo and Stitch from the very beginning. Stitch is essentially his Mickey.
Yeah.
It's a creation that he developed entirely, convinced Disney to let him make the movie. This may be one of the only live action remakes that could exceed the original. It looks to me like it has a chance to do so. And I say bravo. Most of Disney is still struggling very much. This is something that is being done by a genius from the past who has been brought back specifically for this project. This is what Disney was. This is what I fell in love with. This is why I care about this company. This is what I want it to be again. This is marvelous. Panel, your thoughts.
I think it's amazing that they got Chris Sanders back, and you can see, his influence right from jump. I mean, he did some amazing stuff in Wild Robot, and so we all knew he still had it, and they're obviously developing a number of Chris Sanders projects right now. I believe How to Train Your Dragon right now is coming out in live action. We know Lyle Burke is coming as well from Epic Universe. So to get something like this from that, look, Lilo and Stitch I think was the one bright spot beyond the Renaissance era that I think the whole company kind of rallied around, and we actually saw that in interesting ways, like covering the castle with toilet paper, for example.
I remember that year and a half. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Was it like that for a year and a half?
No, one day. One day.
Yeah.
One day.
Only a day. I happened to be there on that day for my entire vacation.
Clearly,
Okay.
he still has
It's not
PTSD
like it was
with the birthday cake thing.
Exactly. Pro, you went exactly where I was going to go.
Oh, that cake was grody too.
Oh, I loved the cake when I was a kid.
Stop it.
Of course,
I liked
it as
the
a kid.
cake when I
Oh,
was a
come
kid,
on.
yeah.
I am an adult.
Yeah, I was there that year.
By the way,
Zilver has always been
girl-
an adult. He was
I have
born
been always
with
an
a
adult.
beard
Say to
and
any
long
of this.
hair.
By the way, the casting is phenomenal. I know some people
Yes.
are not pleased with Cobra Bubbles, but and that's just because of the difference in the body shape.
And Terry Crews was right there. I mean,
Oh, man.
and everybody
Oh, that
loves
would've been
Terry
great.
Crews.
Should have
Yeah,
been
that
Terry Crews.
I mean, at least it wasn't Zendaya.
In every other way with the
But
casting.
there was, correct me if I'm wrong, there was rumor that they were gender swapping Cobra Bubbles for a Caucasian woman. Am I right? No, I mean, I
No,
heard
I'm with you.
that.
I'm with you, but no,
And
it does
so-
not appear that's going to be the case.
Well, he does say Cobra Bubbles. It looks like we're chasing after a blue dog or something. So I'm still not convinced that he's actually Cobra Bubbles.
Oh, a scandal
Interesting.
brewing, eh? We'll have to
Watch
wait
the
and see.
trailer when we get done here. Watch the trailer again, and the way he says it, he doesn't say like this is Cobra Bubbles. He says like Cobra Bubbles. It looks like we're chasing after a blue dog or something like that.
You know what's fascinating? It looks like they've changed him just a little bit because he's a social worker in the original film, and it's very focused. Like the alien stuff just kind of happens around all of that.
Right.
He's very focused on the domestic situation, which is another genius thing about Chris Sanders. By the way, when we say Chris Sanders came back, he might have consulted on the script here. He's the voice of Stitch, and
He did.
he helped with apparently
He was the co-director for the original with Dean DeBlois. I don't know how you say his last name.
Dean Dubois.
Yeah, Dean Dubois.
Yeah, let me yeah, Dean DeBlois or he
Go ahead.
The thing I want to bring up.
I'm from Tennessee, so don't ask me how to pronounce.
There's an
something.
L in there, and I'm not quite sure how it factors into.
I believe it's pronounced Bloise.
What?
I mean, we
This film
say
was directed by
Lafayette.
Dom DeBlois.
There's a town not too far from here that's clearly Lafayette, but we say Lafayette. So don't ask me.
Well, let me tell you guys, the genius in this Lilo and Stitch thing, beyond the fact that it is authentic. So it doesn't have to be ethnic if it's authentic. It can be universal. People want to love everybody of every background and creed. People don't look at this and go, oh, it's a DEI project because it's Polynesian. No, people look at it and say, I can identify with these people because people of all races and backgrounds struggle. And this is a story of a family that is dysfunctional and struggling. And this little crazy thing appears, and it's just as weird as Lilo, and it is her friend. And the genius of what they're doing with this live action that goes beyond the cartoon is that they are playing into, and perhaps this was all on the cutting room floor when they did the original cartoon, they're taking the funniest things that little dogs do, that kids love. And look at this. He's rubbing his buttocks upon the floor, upon the linoleum, right? And his bohunkus is being rubbed upon. Anyway, he's doing that. And look at the smile. Kids will love this.
Yeah,
it is
he's
the most cutest little blue dog ever. And then they're also taking what kids do that they wish they could do, that their parents get onto them, and they've inserted all of that. Rambunctious, what would you say? Rambunctious, mischievous puppy with Dennis the Menace and that Stitch.
Yeah, I'll say he's just expressing himself as they haven't really talked about some of the emotional themes in Lilo and Stitch, but between Wild Robot and this, there's a surprising level of commentary on motherhood in Lilo and Stitch and also in the Wild Robot. So if Chris Sanders is put anything in their brains in making this film, it's this has the opportunity for some actual pretty wonderful and heartfelt scenes here, because it does get emotionally. The stakes are pretty high from a family level.
And here's the deal. Here's the deal. Real quick, let me toss an angle to the panel, and then you all run with it. This could be the absolute breaking of the narrative when it comes to Snow White, because we've got two live actions. One was supposed to be the big one. The other one is the winner. Snow White could bomb utterly at the box office, and when that happens, it's going to be beaten by a movie that stars a little girl, a little Polynesian girl, a little Hawaiian girl. And that's going to utterly destroy the narrative because they want you to believe that Snow White failed because you're all a bunch of awful, terrible ists and phobes and all of that. And no, because Lilo and Stitch can be a big winner. And if it is, maybe this is the moment where the Walt Disney Company finally gets it and goes, oh, we have to go back to what we were. Panel, what do you think?
Well, Pro, I think this is actually even more of an interesting parallel because if you remember when the casting was announced for Lilo and Stitch, there was an outcry against the girl that plays Nani from the woke side because they said she wasn't dark enough, she was too skinny, and they went on tirades about this.
Yep.
I think she looks great.
She's awesome.
I mean, I think she looks great.
I
don't mean that from a creepy standpoint. I think she matches the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything about this. It's why I titled the live show this morning the way I did. I said hope. I put a picture of Stitch on the screen. The thumbnail was simple, just Stitch and the word hope, because this is actually hope for Disney. It's a hope for Disney fans because it looks like it should look. It's presented to us all in a way that would make us think that this is going to work out because it is. I've watched this trailer now multiple times, and I'm so glad that Chu did not end up directing this because I think that was who was originally slated for this. So if I'm not mistaken, is that right?
Culture was aimed to be a Disney Plus movie. Yeah. This was on the back burner. They never intended for this to be a blockbuster hit, but it's because they don't know what works with audiences. Now that it's a box office release, and now that we've seen it, this is exactly what they need.
Yeah, they've needed this for a long time, and it goes against. And unfortunately, the reason it looks so authentic to us is because the original was so authentic. Everything was very authentic about the original animated film, and so it's not hard to cast authentically if you already had started with a diverse, situation to begin with. So we would be outraged perhaps if they had changed some of the things that were presented here. So, but I'm looking forward to this. I cannot wait.
I think that also that this is such a stunning parallel to Snow White because this is what happens when you have a love and a deep respect and admiration for your source material, as opposed to Snow White, which has an animosity toward it,
and that's so funny. Not to interrupt, but that's just so funny to me because the company would not exist if it wasn't for the original Snow White. I mean, and I know that goes without saying, but it's just like how disrespectful. Like the thing, I hate to say it, but the movie Snow White, I mean, it looks terrible. I mean, it looks horrible. And I know Rachel Zegler has said some horrible things, and I'm just going to say that she has said some horrible things. Yeah. Like you don't disrespect the original film that the company wouldn't exist had it not succeeded. Like you just don't do that. Like if you don't want to comment on it or you disagree with it, fine, just keep that to yourself. Okay.
Well,
but so nothing against her.
Not to interrupt you, Tyler.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of her quotes was, they say that we're the PC Snow White. Well, it's because we have to be. It needed to be because of how
she said this at D23 Expo, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like all of that aside, like just visually, it looks bad. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, you needed to honor this movie like more than any of the others. Like, and it's kind of awful. It's weird to me. So strange.
Bro.
Someone said, I saw a comment that said, well, of course, the Lilo and Stitch live action movie looks great because they followed the original and the original was great. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense.
The themes are the same. The theme of Ohana, the theme of family, nobody gets left behind or forgotten, of acceptance, of finding your people. Whereas Snow White completely changed the entire message of Snow White. It changed the primary motivator of its main character. Like, could you imagine if this movie was about Lilo wanting to become the leader that she knew she could always be, instead of being about family? Like that's what they did with Snow White. And we are going to see Stitchamania 2.0 after this hits. I guarantee, because you guys remember when Lilo and Stitch came out, they were completely unprepared for how popular this was going to be. and
True.
they were caught with their pants down. They had no they had to scramble to put Stitch merchandise on the shelves.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
we've got
I mean,
a plethora of
look at
Stitch
that.
everywhere.
And I'm sorry, I don't know the young lady's name who plays Nani, but I mean, look at that screen grab right there. I mean, she looks like the character. Like
Yes.
if I was,
Casting. It's perfect.
you know, I was saying earlier that I try to be a jack of all trades, master of none, whatever. One of my passions is filmmaking, and I like to think that I have fun dream casting. You know, who I would like to see in the roles that I'm writing and all this stuff. Well, I mean, like if I was going to undertake a live action Lilo and Stitch, I don't know who else I would cast besides that person right there. And the little girl that plays Stitch, Lilo, she's adorable. So
Yeah.
I think they've done a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting when you actually cast the character as they're supposed to be, rather than trying to, disruptively cast, which is what Hollywood's been doing for a long time. And specifically,
But according to the pixie duster weirdos out there, they were offensively casting this movie because
How?
Nani wasn't dark enough, she wasn't thick enough, she was, there was all this backlash against this girl in particular. So it's
Yeah,
just
they
so
tried
funny
to call her a white woman, and it's like
Yeah.
she literally grew up in. I think she grew. I don't know where specifically, but somewhere in Polynesia or in
she
Hawaii.
is Polynesian.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah,
so
I-
silly to me.
Yeah, I think when you look at this, and even Zach Galifianakis might be good in this, but I think when you look at this, I think you understand that they really went out of their way to make an authentic version of this. And I would like to say it's Sanders, standing in the background saying, "Hey, we got to do this the right way. Hey, we got to do this the right way."
Well, and there's no, they didn't put The Rock in it. They didn't put Zendaya in it. They didn't put Seth Rogen in it. I was really worried that like Dr. Jumbo was going to end up being Seth Rogen.
No.
That's not appear to be the case. And the character models from Stitch to the Grand Councilwoman to even the ships, it's all pulled directly from the animation cells.
Yeah.
And it looks phenomenal. Folks, we're going to follow this. And it's also an anecdote because for so long we have been stuck having to wade through the muck of Disney. And I am sick and tired of having to cover this company and be so negative all the time. Like I don't think
you're negative, Pro. I don't think you're negative. I think you're being constructive.
Well,
and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I thank you for that, but I would like to have 10%, 20% positive news stories about a company. Give me something. And this is finally something that we can praise them for and say, this is your Northern Star. Aim for this every single time. Aim for this. This is what people want. This is what makes money. This is what brings joy and a reconsideration for your company. Let's do this again. Let's be partners in this. Consumer and corporation, make something that we can get behind. Lilo and Stitch seems to be that. Snow White, all right, let it be in the past. Let's get on and move on with it. All right,
I
folks,
just want to say that I'm glad Zach Galifianakis is in this, just because he's making a relationship with Disney, and I know this might get me some hate, but I always kind of saw him as a good dream finder.
No, that's perfect casting.
That's perfect casting.
That's perfect. You're good.
Figment of your imagination, folks, or could it come to be? We'll see.
Ooh,
Better than Seth Rogen.
Miles better.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Put this baby to bed. This video is over. Turn off the lights, but not quite yet, folks, because we do ask one final thing before we say goodbye, and that is, would you consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Also greatly appreciated. Anytime you would like to share this out on your favorite social media platforms, well, we would love that. And we'd also love to hear your thoughts. Folks, drop a comment down below and use that beautiful mind of yours. If you would not mind, we'd love to know what you're thinking. Also, if you would like to become a member of the channel, it's as simple as clicking the join button. It is the price of a soda per month, and you'll gain access to all kinds of new, cool, exclusive information. Folks, until the next time we have the honor of spending time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.